Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 31 Media podcast. My name is Vaishnavi Nashte, and I'm the marketing and PR manager here at 31 Media. Today's podcast is in collaboration with the Digital Transformation Awards and the AI Summit and Awards. These are two separate B2B events organized by 31 Media. And if you're interested in attending or exhibiting your tech solutions at our events, please follow the link in the description to do so. Today, we have Andrew Nieman on the 31 Media podcast. He's the co founder of Arrow Labs. He's an expert in building apps and websites for some of the biggest brands in the world. He has also written a very detailed article on our DevOps Online platform about how organizations can build a well structured digital roadmap for a successful digital transformation. So make sure to give that a read. You'll find the link in the description below. Good morning, Andrea. How are you? Is it good morning where you are?
It
Or
is a good morning.
afternoon?
Yes, thank you for
Okay,
having me. Appreciate it.
perfect. Yeah, your background sounds so exciting. Could you tell our audience a little bit more about your experience in digital transformation and what sort of like inspired you to get into this space?
Yeah, so background wise, my journey into tech is far from linear. I didn't study it in school.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, coming out of school almost 20 years ago, I originally went into commercial real estate, which was my
Okay.
family's business. And I eventually took a job working with my dad, and we both moved to Abu Dhabi to help master plan and build a campus for technology and media companies. So my
Oh,
job
nice.
was to try and recruit a bunch of global tech firms from around the world to open up offices there. So I'm, recruiting Apple, Facebook, Samsung to move into our campus. And over time, I just honestly got more interested in what they were doing than what I was doing. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I moved back to the US in 2011, and honestly, probably after watching the movie The Social Network one too many times,
Yeah.
I decided I'm getting out of real estate. I'm going into tech. It looks so easy, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and eventually I teamed up with a college friend of mine who had started an agency that was helping businesses launch their first version of mobile apps.
Nice.
Um, the only trouble was like the year's 2011. So we're a little early. Like you can tell in 2011 when you tell people, "Oh, I develop apps," they're like, "Oh, that's cute." Angry Birds, I've heard of those. And they're like, "Good luck." And it wasn't until probably 2013 when Uber raised that massive like Series C round and they were expanding globally like wildfire. That's when business leaders sat up in their chair and were like, "Oh, I thought apps were a joke. Look what you can do.
Yeah.
What's our mobile strategy? What are we doing to invest in this?" And that was a great moment for us because
Mhm.
everyone and their mother was trying to get in on this app craze.
Yeah.
I will say though, like it wasn't just global leaders. There was a period of time where I couldn't step foot into a coffee shop or like ride in an Uber without someone pitching me on their app idea
Hmm.
and saying, how much would it cost to do this? Like if everyone has one, I bet you do too. Do you have an app idea that you've been sitting on for years?
Kind of. Yeah, but I don't think it's well formulated in my head.
No, everyone has an idea for one, and I've heard some great pitches for them, and I've heard some pretty wild ones too. But at any rate, after this sort of app store gold rush hits, that was a great tailwind for our agency. Our business grew exponentially, and we matured our business. We eventually picked up doing web development and backend development, testing, like full stack product development.
Hmm.
And we sold our business to a large global software company during that period. This is probably 2018 now. And going to work for that big global company, that's where I now start to get exposed to the idea of holistic digital transformation projects. Whereas before we were just one part of the whole, and now I start to see where our project sits in the greater scheme of things. And I start to get a
Hmm.
really good front row seat to how they should and shouldn't be run.
Oh, that is very inspiring, Andrew. And getting into the digital transformation topic now, I want to start with the challenges first. Like in your experience, why do you think like so many big companies they have like big budgets and they have like talented people in their organization, but you still see them fail when it comes to like digital transformation programs? Like, do you think there's a reason behind it, and could you like shed some light on that?
Yeah, okay. That's a good point because not everyone is successful. In fact, I'd say it can be a bit of a coin flip depending on what your plans are, but failed digital transformation almost always stems from failed communication.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because, even though this might sound, contrary to popular belief, building technology is more of a communication challenge than anything else. When a project or a transformation goes sideways, rarely is it because your engineers weren't good enough at architecture and coding. Rarely is it because your designers just weren't good enough at UX. It is almost always because the team was not communicating, was not working as one, and leadership was not giving a clear vision or plan for where you're trying to go. So you got a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
working in silos and, a lot of times doing duplicative work or contradictory work. So a critical element that will pretty much help determine whether the transformation is successful or is a failure is communication of a long-term digital roadmap. And that is something that
Interesting.
we specialize in helping companies build. So I've gotten a good sense for like, okay, how long does it need to be? What the fidelity needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a critical piece of the digital transformation.
Yeah, that's interesting that you've mentioned digital roadmap in there. Like, what role do you think a roadmap itself would play when it comes to like an ongoing transformation?
Sure. Okay. So think about it this way. If a big digital transformation project is like making a movie,
Mm-hmm.
the roadmap is essentially the script. You may have talented actors, that's your craftspeople, designers, engineers, testers. You probably have a talented director, those are your PMs mostly. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a script, you don't have a movie. Like that's how
Yeah,
critical the roadmap is. And if you think about it, like you don't necessarily even have to have the world's greatest craftspeople as long as you have a great script.
yeah.
I don't know if you do you have a favorite movie?
I do. It's Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, incredible choice. Okay. That movie, that's like a top 10 script of all time. And if I go through the list of the rest of your probably top movies, my guess is the actors will be different, the directors will be different, but the
Yeah.
consistent trend across all of it will be great writing, a great script. That is, again, the role of the roadmap in the digital transformation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely much easier to know what you can look ahead to when you have like a proper roadmap. And yeah, your article does talk about, how to build that. So that's amazing. And how long do you think a roadmap needs to be? Like how long ahead should we look for?
Hmm. Yeah. The short answer is at least 3 years.
Okay.
So most managers at big companies are stuck in these 1 year planning cycles because that's how typical budgeting cycles work. So
Mm-hmm.
finance says if you want money for your department next year, you got to tell us what you want it for now. That's why you get in the habit of planning 1 year ahead. But planning just 1 year ahead means that you're only looking at typical like everyday BAU tasks. You're not looking at innovation because innovation that takes years to execute. One of my favorite quotes, Jeff Bezos from Amazon says, whenever someone congratulates me on a strong quarter, what they don't know is that the success or failure of that quarter was baked 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning like, thanks for the nod now, but we did this a long time ago. And planning horizons, they say like in a normal situation, imagine you're at a big company, global company, it's 15, 20,000 employees. Directors usually are tasked with looking 1 year ahead. VPs
Yeah.
are 2 to 3 years ahead. The CEO is like 3 or more years ahead. So what I do like to honestly drive home is if you're not trying to plan 3 years ahead, you're not likely to get promoted in your position. It's very hard to go from
Mm-hmm.
director to VP if management doesn't look at you and say, okay, that guy or gal has a really good long-term grasp for where we're trying to go. Let's move them up.
Yeah, that's very insightful. But that also begs the question, like there are obviously so many changes happening in the industry, irrespective of what the industry is or the technology is. And it can be like a lot of different projects to even keep tabs on, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
how does a person even manage to be that organized? Like, what is your secret to, being that organized while managing like a 3-year plan?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question because it is a lot of things to keep track of and it is a long
Mm-hmm.
vision in terms of where you're going. The answer is you got to get your roadmap out of Excel or PowerPoint. You can't do it in
Mm-hmm.
Excel or PowerPoint. That is what 99% of roadmaps are managed in right now. It's sadly what everybody's still doing, but you need a purpose-built road mapping tool because those two are going to be nightmares when it comes to version control. They're going to be nightmares when it comes to trying to socialize it amongst other groups and collaborate on it. So at the very least, you need to use something like Figma's got a great product called FigJam that we use
Yeah.
a lot. It's a good, great collaboration tool. I'd say that at the least. But what you probably should be doing even more is using a tool like RoadMonk, which is a true like purpose-built road mapping piece of software. Um, I think it's actually now called Strategic Roadmaps. They rebranded it, which I don't know if that was a great move because I love the name
Hmm.
RoadMonk. But at any rate,
Do you
if
like that more than FigJam,
I
or are
do,
they
yeah.
both too different? Okay.
For a 3-year roadmap, I prefer RoadMonk.
Okay.
Um, if you're sub 3 years and you're just looking at your single department, you could probably get away with FigJam. But if you're trying to do a true cross-functional roadmap, because that's what an innovation project usually has. Very rarely are you able to get a true innovation project moving forward just within the walls of your department. You normally need input and dependencies from other departments. So I prefer RoadMonk for that. Um, I mean, I say this all the time. If you want to impress your boss, take your roadmap and whatever it is now and just port it into RoadMonk and pull RoadMonk up in the next strat planning meeting. And everybody
Hmm.
will be like, whoa, what is this? This is,
Yeah.
futuristic.
Yeah.
So it's a very great tool, not only for organization, but also for even just like catalyzing excitement about what you're trying to do.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely give that a look. But yeah, thank you so much for all of this insightful points. And yeah, it was really nice having you on the podcast. Is there anything you want to mention to our audience before we would bid goodbye?
No, I would just say maybe as far as like where I see trends for digital transformation going,
Hmm.
um, without a doubt, over the next few years, you are going to start to see in-house teams get leaner and leaner
Yeah.
and probably more reliant on vendor partners. Um, it is
So like
really
there'll be
hard.
more outsourcing.
Yeah, and it's outsourcing to folks with specialized expertise because it is really hard to build up an entire in-house team that has expertise from all these different craft
Hmm.
areas and divisions. And the reason I see this as a trend happening right now, and I will say like we're even probably the beneficiary of it, is it's now easier than ever to embed outsourced vendor partners into your work streams. So even the most like confidential projects, if you look 5 years ago and you wanted to do a big digital transformation project, you went to Deloitte or Accenture because
Hmm.
they could give you 10 people tomorrow sitting right next to you in the office, and that really mattered back then.
Hmm.
Post-pandemic, half your in-house team's not even in the office most days. So that need to
Yeah.
co-locate goes away, and it becomes so much easier to just turn on and off a team that can jump into your work streams.
Hmm.
Um, and so I do honestly see that having an impact on the success of digital transformation initiatives, where you're not, the in-house team is not reliant on trying to carry the ball all the way to
Yeah.
the end of these like 3 to 5 year projects themselves. So that's
Hmm.
that's got me hopeful for companies sort of regaining an appetite to invest in it.
Yeah, that sounds quite on point because I have seen like a rise in numbers when it comes to, outsourcing certain tasks in the company. But yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for mentioning that. And thank you for being on the 31 Media podcast, Andrew. It was lovely talking to you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was great to meet you.